welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and on screen we have a puzzle by the genius Phistomefel. Now, I am aware that Phistomefel published another puzzle on Logic Masters Germany about a week ago called Cave Sudoku, and don't get me wrong, I am desperate to try it, and many of you have emailed me to say, can I solve it on the channel? Well, I really want to, but I am warned by our testers that that puzzle is seriously hard, and I am basically at dial-up speed at the moment in terms of my ability to upload videos, so I just don't dare risk it. What I'm going to do is I'm intending to solve that puzzle on the channel, but I will wait until I'm somewhere that isn't antediluvian in terms of its quality of internet access. So we're going to try this one instead, which the testers say is a very approachable puzzle for Phistomefel. I mean, Phistomefel is never that straightforward, but apparently if you've never managed to finish a Phistomefel puzzle, this is a great chance. Has a very simple rule set as well, very elegant. You can see looking at the grid here, you know, it's another of these grids where it doesn't seem we're being given a great deal of information. But before I tell you the rules to this one, I do want to just mention the puzzle I tried in yesterday's video by Alice. I revisited that puzzle again after the solve because I was so stunned by it during the video. I mean, it's an outstanding Sudoku puzzle. Really original and very beautiful. So if you've not had a chance to try that puzzle yet, make sure you give yourself time to do it, because you're in for a treat. It really is something quite special. Now let's talk about the rules of this puzzle. What have we got going on? We have normal Sudoku rules applying. We've got digits may not repeat within a cage, so that's normal killer Sudoku rules, but of course none of these killer Sudoku cages have any totals. So what's going on there? Well, the digits in a cage in this puzzle must add up to a multiple of 13. So I'm not sure whether this is an unlucky for some Sudoku. Hopefully it's not unlucky for us. Hopefully it'll be very fortunate. Do have a go at it. Click on the link under the video to play, and with that I'm going to have a go. Let's get cracking. So we're looking presumably then 13, 26 and 39. Every single cage is going to have to add up to one of those. So dominoes, look, there's a domino there, that must add up to 13. In fact 3 cell cages also have to add up to 13, because if we use 7, 8 and 9 in a cage, we'd only get to 24, not 26. So 2 and 3 cell cages all add up to 13. Got a 6 cell cage there, that could in theory add up to 39, because, well, yeah, let's remind ourselves of why that's possible. Any box, any row, any complete column of a Sudoku, in fact that column is quite interesting looking at it, but must contain the digits 1 to 9. Now if you add up the digits 1 to 9, you get 45. So why do I think 39 is possible in this box here? Well, it's because I can see that those 3 squares would then have to add up to 6, and that is possible. With 1, 2 and 3 we could make this box work. So in fact the 6 cell cages, if we wanted to have a 39 total, it would have to be a 6 cell cage, because 5 cells you could only get up to 35 with 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So I'm starting to understand the restrictions that apply to some of this, or the cages in this puzzle. Right, okay, but we can start with column 1, and we can do that because we can write the value in of this cell. Now the way to do that is to realise that the options for these 2 4-cell cages are limited. They must either add up to 13 or 26, because they can't get to 39. Now could they both be the same number? Could we have a 13 and a 13 cage? Well, no, because that would make those 8 cells add to 26, and that would make that cell have to equal 19, which is not going to work. What about 2 lots of 26? Well, that's equally as bad. Those would add up, the 8 cells would add up to 52, and that cell would have to add up to -7. Now we're not into those sorts of realms of Sudoku, so we know that one of these is a 13, one of them is a 26. We don't know which way round, and we don't care at this point, because 26 and 13 add up to 39 to make 45 for the column. That is a 6. Now, okay, what can we do with that? So now if this is 13, yeah, okay. So if this is 13, what can this cage be? Could it also be 13? Well, no, because 13 and 13 is 26. That would mean these two cells had to sum up to 19. Now, even if we make them 8 and 9, that only adds up to 17. So this must add up to 26. This adds up to 13. That's 39. So this adds up to 6 then to make 45. So this is 2, 4 or 1, 5. Right, and now we can disambiguate the order here, because if these two cells add up to 6, it's not possible for this 4-cell cage now to add up to 26, because those two cells would have to add up to 20. So this cage adds up to 13. These two cells add up to these two cells add up to 7. So this can't be a 2-4 pair now, because how would we make those two cells add up to 7? We can't, because 1, 6, 2, 5 and 3, 4 are all impossible if this is a 2-4 pair. So this is a 1, 5 pair. These still have to add up to 7, but now 3, 4 is available. Obviously 2, 5 and 1, 6 are not available. So this is a 3, 4 pair, and we complete the column with 2, 7, 8 and 9, which add up to 26. Oh, now look. Well, there's a variety of things we can do here, perhaps, but maybe this cage? This cage is a p-pentomino, if you've been watching the videos recently. But what could it add up to? Well, it can't add up to 13 because it's got 5 cells in it, and the minimum we can make 5 cells add up to is 15, with 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. It's not big enough to make 39. We need 6 cells to make 39. So this adds up to 26. These add up to 7. So that's 33. These two therefore have to add up to 12. So this can't be a 2. Oh, and in fact, this can't be an 8 or a 9, because if it's a 9, that would have to be a 3. If it's an 8, that would have to be a 4, and both of those are impossible. So this is 7. This is 5. No 7 lives down there. This domino has to add up to 13 without using 4, 9 or 5, 8. So this is 6 and 7. 5 goes here by Sudoku. These squares have got to be 1, 3, 4 to complete the box, and we're starting to make a little bit of progress. 2 of those 3 squares need to be 3 and 4 because of these 3s and 4s dotted around. Oh, this is a domino that has a 5 there, so this must be an 8 to make 13. Oh, now that's interesting, look, because now this 6-cell region can't be a 39 region, because 39 plus 8 is well over 45 already, so this must be a 26 region, mustn't it? Because if it's a 13 region, 13 and 8 is 21. You can't make those two squares add up to 24. Yeah, so this is 26 plus 8 is 34. These two have to add up to 11. Well, that's doable, because now we can't use 3, 8, 4, 7 or 5, 6. So this is a 2, 9 pair. And this is the lovely thing about Phistomefel puzzles, is basically you go on a journey with him, and it's a journey he knows. He knows exactly the journey you're going to go on, because there's only one way of doing the puzzle. You know, here we had to start there, and then we had to come down here, and then here, and now we're going across here. And, you know, he has designed this, and we just have to follow the ideas he has created in this puzzle. Now, what do we do next? We must be able to get the value of that square, presumably. Let's think about this. So This has to be a 2 or a 9. This has to add up to 13. These two squares either add up to 11. We know it's a 3-cell region, so they either add up to 11 or they add up to 4. So if this adds up to 11, 11 and 13 is 24, therefore this couldn't be 26, this would have to be 13. Ha! And that puts an 8 there. So quite deliberate, look at that. So this can't be a 2. Because the result of putting a 2 there is you have to put an 8 there, and you can't. So this has to be a 9. That's a 2. This must be a 1-3 pair now. So we've now got 4 plus 13. That's 17. So now this can't be a 13 region, because that would that have to be a 15 into this single cell. So we've got 17 plus 26 is 43. That has to be a 2. That looks okay. Good. So that's a 2. There's a 2 in one of those cells there by Sudoku. We don't yet know. We can't actually rule out any of the options for that 13 cage yet. Oh, 1-3 here means that's a 4 though, so that's useful. There's a 1 over here now. 6 up here by Sudoku. Oh, now look at this. Look at row 6 of the grid. We've not placed 1, 3, 4 and 6 into it. Well, if we look at this square, what can it be? It can't be 3, 4 and it can't be 6. So that is a 1. These 3 squares have got to be 3, 4 and 6 therefore. And still bugged a bit by what we can do in box 8, but let's have a look over this side now. So we've got 3, 4, maybe this cage is restricted. Yes, oh, ooh, well it might be restricted a lot, but we can, with the 2 here, this could have been a 26 cage, but it can't now, because if it was a 26 cage, these 3 squares would have to add up to 24 and would have to be 7, 8 and 9, and now they can't be, because this can't be any of those digits. So this is a 13 cage. Right, so if this is a 6, that's impossible, because 6 plus 2 is 8. These would have to add up to 5, which would mean they would have to be 1, 4 or 2, 3, and that's impossible because we've already used those in row 6. So this is not 6. If this is 4, these would have to add up to 7 without using 2, 5, 1, 6 or 3, 4. That's impossible as well. This has to be a 3, I think. So these add up to 5. These have to add up to 8 without using 2, 6 or 3, 5. So these have to be 1 and 7. And does that tell us anything? Maybe, oh yeah, maybe this cage now is important because, oh yeah, look, this can't be a 13 cage now because these add up to 10. If these add up to 3, they'd have to be 1 and 2, and they can't be. So this 4-cell cage has to add up to 26. These add up to 10. These have to add up to 16. There's only one way to do that, 7 and 9. That's a 6, therefore, over there, just to unwind the Sudoku. That can't be a 9. This has to be a 5 by Sudoku, I think, because if we look along here, look, we haven't placed the digits 2, 5 and 8 yet in row 7. Well, that can't be a 2 or an 8, so that has to be a 5. This has to be a 2 or an 8. (16). So this cage here either adds up to, oh, in fact that's very interesting, isn't it? Look at this. This adds up to 16. We can't make a 5-cell cage add up to 13. That's impossible. So this has to add up to 26. 26 and 16 is 42. So those two squares have to add up to 3 in order to give us 45. So this is a 1-2 pair, which means that's an 8. That's a 2. This is a 3. This is a 1. That can't be a 2 anymore. And all of a sudden we're doing a little bit better. Although that's probably famous last words because I'm just grinding to a halt as I say that. Oh no, look, 5. Where does 5 go in box 9? It's got to go there. So these 3 squares now have got to be 3, 4 and 6. Same as those actually, that's weird. These have got to be 7, 8 and 9. That can't be 9. This can't be 8 because that would need a 5 above it in order to make 13. This box now, this 5, 8 pair, places a 5, 8 pair in those 2 squares, which means that's got to be a 2, 9 pair. One 7 here, that fixes a load of stuff below it that I hadn't scanned, but now I can. So those all get fixed. We know this adds up to 13 and isn't 6, 7 or 4, 9, so this has to be 5, 8. That plonks a 5 into one of those 2 squares, just a little bit of Sudoku there. Look at the 5s. We've managed to pencil mark them into the same 2 rows of the grid in 2 different 3x3 boxes. So we can ask the question where the 5 goes in row 1. You see it can't go in those 3 and it can't go in those 3. So it has to be in one of those 3 as a 5 here. Now let's come back down here. This square, look, can't be a 3. So this is a, look, this is a 4, 6 pair at the top and bottom of column 7, and that's a 6, which means this is a 4, that's a 6. 4 means that's not a 4. That plonks a 4 into this. Then we know a 3-cell cage is a 13 region, so if it's got a 4 in it, the other 2 cells have got to add up to 9, which has to be 2, 7 now, because look, 1, 8's impossible, 3, 6 is impossible, 4, 5 is impossible, so there's no 3 in this cage. There's a 3 up there. This is 4, 2 and 7, and there's a 7 there, so that's a 7. This is a 2, 4 pair. And those 2 squares are 8 and 9, but I don't think I know the order. Okay. Maybe we can do arithmetic on this box, can we? We've got 13 here. Oh yeah, we can. Look. This cage adds up to 13. So these 2 cells, because this is a 5 or an 8, these 2 either add up to 5 or 8 themselves. This domino adds up to 5 or 8. So if this is 13, and this is 13, that would be 26. We'd have to make these 3 squares add up to 19. But we can't. If this is the maximum I can make, that is 8. That would still put 11 in that single cell. So this has to add up to 26. 26 and 13 is 39. These 3 cells have to be 1, 2 and 3, and there's a 2 in 1. 2's are ruled out of those. So this is a 2, this is a 1, 3 pair. Oh, and now we can, yeah, so now we can see the only way we can make this add up to 13 is if we use the 8 and the 3. So the 8, 3 gets fixed, the 1 goes over there, this becomes a 1, 5, which gives us the 5 and the 8, which gives us the 8 and the 9. We've got to put a 7 in this box. Look, these have got to be 6 and 9 to complete the cage, which we can do. The 2 fixes the 2 and the 4. That plonks a 2 and a 5, and all of a sudden we are really able to make swift progress before it grinds to a halt. But surely we can do some stuff down here. Yes, the 6 fixes the 6 and the 4. That fixes the 4 and the 3. Okay, so let's have a look along there. Look, we need 6, 8 and 9 into those 3 squares. And here we need 3, 4 and 7. Now, right, so now we know that this cage also is not a 39 cage. So it must be a 26 cage. And we've got 8 in it already. So these 3 squares have got to add up to 18. 4. Ah, okay, so we can't have a 4 in here because I can't make the other 2 squares add up to 14. So there's no 4 in this cage. So that's a 4 all of a sudden. 3 and 7 means this is an 8, and now we're doing well again. That forces the 9, forces the 6, the 8. Oh, nearly. Again, the little trick with Sudoku. Look at the 3s aligning in columns 5 and 6. That plonks a 3 into one of those squares. This column we've got 6 digits in. We need 3, 6 and 7. This square has a 3 and a 7 in the row, so that's a 6. So this is a 3-7 pair now. Oh, now this 6 means that's this domino adds up to 13, so we can't put a 7 there anymore because that would need a 6 above it. So this is now a 9. That's a 4. That gives us the 9. Oh, 9 and the 8. Let's try not to misclick. 7s, 7s and 3s get resolved. 3s and 1s get resolved. Now that should be an 8. And I think we've used up all of our 13s, 26s, 39 tricks now, so we should just be able to finish this with Sudoku, I hope. These squares have got to be a 1-6 pair. This is typically where I make silly mistakes, so let's try not to do that. Look, this has got to be a 4-5 pair, and the 5 here might actually resolve everything, I think. 4, 3, 3, 7, 7, 1, 1, 6. 6 must live here, therefore. That allows us to place a 2 into this square, which gives us the 2, 9. Presumably that's a 9 and that's an 8. Let's check. Yes. So that's how to solve Phistomefel's 13 killer. Absolutely gorgeous puzzle as always. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments. I do read them, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.